So I get several DMs from people asking me how they can become an influencer from scratch. I have touched on this several times and I'm going to bring it back again. Being an influencer is not just about having a lot of followers. It's not just about that I have 100k followers on social media and therefore I'm an influencer. There are a lot of people that have a lot of followers on social media with zero influence. So I'm giving you the key things that you need to know to actually have numbers and influence. Hey there and welcome back to my channel. My name is Nthanda and I'm a digital creator from Malawi. I have been a content creator since 2013. We're talking 8 years as of 2021. I am not an expert in the digital space. I don't think anybody is. That's one thing about the digital space is it's ever changing. It's always changing. It's always getting better and you have to stay on top of your games. I am doing this series to teach upcoming / aspiring influencers on how to become a key influence in your community. I enjoy content creation so much, but one thing I enjoy more than content creation is actually being behind the scenes, the production, the writing. So going forward, I want to focus on that, but I have learned so much about digital content creation in the past 8 years, and I want to share that information with you. My media team and I are in the process of creating courses that people can study and get certified for in the digital space. It's the 2020s and being an influencer is one of the most lucrative jobs or careers out there. If you do it right, if you learn your trade, if you master whatever it is that you choose to do. The key thing about being an influencer is being influential, being an influence, a positive influence. So the first thing you want to focus on as a content creator, as an influencer, is having a story. People follow a story. You have your story as a human being. A story that is unique to you, a story that makes you who you are and different from everybody else. That is what people are going to relate to the most. As an influencer, you are going to have to be your truest, most authentic self. So people follow your story, they want to trust you, they want to know you. Whatever it is about you that they find influential, for them to find it influential, it must be true, it must be credible, and it must be honest. So look at yourself as a brand, right? And think about the things that make you relatable. What is it that when you post, you get a lot of engagement, people are interested, people want to share their own stories? What is it about you that is authentic to you? That is a story that people are interested in following. Think about skincare. Like if I struggle with skincare, which I do, if I struggle with skincare and I'm showing my authentic parts about it, I have to be truthful and honest about it. Like guys, yay, right now, I'm wearing makeup because my skin is just a mess, you know? I'm authentic and I'm being honest in that journey and I'm able to show you my scars. It takes a lot of vulnerability and just you being very truthful and honest. The second thing that you want to focus on as a content creator is personal branding. In summary, personal branding is a way to create a very magnetic brand. Basically, it's your story, telling your story to someone without having to say, oh, listen to me, let me tell you about my story. It's consistently showing who you are, showcasing who you are to people without having to describe it every single time. I'll give you an example of myself. One of the key points of my brand is that I love turquoise and teal. Those colors speak me, those colors are who I am. So I have to find a way to always bring them into my brand very subtly. You see, there's a shelf behind me, there is a wall behind me, there is a desk down here. There are always little details, and over time I've found that every time somebody sees something that is turquoise or teal, they'll send it to me and say, I thought of you. Now, I have a full video on business branding. I'm going to do one more detail about personal branding, but I just wanted to take you through the general basics of branding right now. So branding for me comes in the 5 W's. I used to say 4 W's, but now it's 5 W's and 1 H. When you brand yourself, you're thinking of who you are, you're thinking of what it is that you do, you're thinking of where it is that you do it, why you do it, when it is done, and how it is done. Good branding is when you're able to answer those 5 questions very crystal clear to somebody who just wake up in the morning and somebody asks you who you are, what do you do, where do you do it, how do you do it, when do you do it, why do you do it. You're able to give me all those answers very quickly, and that's when you know that you have a brand, very good and clear personal brand. However, in the digital space, it's important for you to remember to be dynamic. Digital spaces are continuously changing and you're going to have to learn to change with them. The third thing that you must do as a digital creator is to identify your niche. I touched on this in my previous video and I'm going to go back to it. Once you define your story and you have kind of branded yourself, the next thing you want to do is to understand your niche. You have to understand your niche. What information is your audience looking for? An example again of myself. A lot of people come to me and ask me how to become an influencer I am at the top of my game, and it didn't come about by chance. It's because I've taken years and I've invested a lot of time in this, and people trust my voice to say, if you want to learn a little bit about influencer marketing, if you want somebody who understands the game, then you go to Nthanda. So you want to become that trusted voice. You understand what your audience is looking for and you give them that information. When you understand the information your niche is looking for, now you think of ways to create and disseminate that content in ways that are easy to access and easy to process. As an influencer, you want to do your research, really do your research, understand your trade, and give very credible and honest information. The fourth thing that you can think about when thinking about being an influencer is to create value for your followers. I remember just recently one of my followers said, I have followed you for years and I feel like you're my friend. You've changed my life. You've improved my life. I loved hearing that, because that's the whole point of being an influence. You want to be a positive influence. You basically want to be that person that when you pop up on somebody's feed, you're bettering their life, you're making them better. So you're creating content that they're constantly learning from, and they are better people because they follow you. Now, I think of me as a blogger, where we've come from 8 years ago. Things were very different and things are very different now. Back then, it was all about, oh, look at me, I'm great, I'm pretty, I can do makeup, I can wear clothes, I can what, because people wanted a hope. But now people want to relate. People want to know that they are like you or they can be like you. So you want to create that value. Basically, you want to give them the how-to. Instead of just saying, look at my pants, they're great. Let me tell you about where I got these pants. So you can also get these pants and look this good as well. So you are creating value in that moment. Now, in line with creating value, you also want to be sure that you're consistent. So if you're sharing on something, you are consistently sharing on that. When somebody comes to your page, they should basically know that if I'm looking, for example, on how to grow my YouTube, I go to YouTube and I look up Erin on demand. I find whoever I find that is going to share on this detail. The fifth thing that you want to think about when thinking of becoming an influencer is to create a community. We live in a communal world, we live in a society, people are looking for communities to belong to. Can you create a community around your brand? Influencer marketing is based on trust and credibility, as I've said. Your community must trust you, they must take you as their leader. Now, in this space, in the world that we're going, it's no longer about just authority. I don't lead you by authority, I lead you by influence. People trust people that they say, okay, that person is a positive influence. What they're doing positively influences me, and they trust you better as a leader, as opposed to if I just come with authority and I say, you do this, go do that, because I have authority over you. Social media takes away that authority. People are free to think of themselves, and the best that you can do is influence them. In a social media community, be very clear with yourself. Take time to think about what is it that you represent in people's lives. Are you a hope for something? Do you represent a better life? Do you represent a better fashion wardrobe? Do you represent better skin? Whatever it is that you represent, you want to be sure that you know that and you're able to communicate it properly. And the last but one thing that you want to think about is the actual process of content creation and content dissemination. I also touched on this in my first video. As a content creator, you have to know which modes you are better in, what you are good at, where you sound better. Are you better on video? Are you better on audio? Are you better in written content? Once you know your mode of dissemination, then you now focus on how can I create content for that platform. Personally, I bought my first camera 2 years ago. I didn't have a camera before that, and if I wanted to create content, I'd basically have to either partner with other content creators, or I would just borrow their cameras and come and film for myself. I will go into proper detail about content creation, what you need, basics, what to start. But in summary, first thing you need is a good phone. If you are starting from scratch, if you can afford a camera, if you can afford to buy a camera, then go ahead and buy a small but good camera. If you can't afford to buy a camera, you can start with your phone. I know that the iPhone 11, the iPhone 12 can now film even up to 4K. So you can get really, really good content even just on your phone. And the other thing you want to invest in is audio equipment, a good audio recorder. You can either buy a camera with a really good audio recorder. If you're not able to do that, then try to use, for example, your phone to record your audio, because more than people wanting to see you, they want to be able to hear you. They want your audio to be clear and to be able to understand what it is that you're saying. And the seventh and last thing for now that I want to share in this video about becoming an influencer is that you must reach out to brands to let them know that you're open to collaborations. That can either be just by in your bio, you drop like your email and you say, okay, for collaborations, email me in this direction, or you actually approach them, go to them and say, this is what I can do for you. I remember in 2017, when influencing was not really what it's called now, like it wasn't like being an influencer was a hit thing, actually it was more a negative than a positive thing. but being a blogger was a thing. You're somebody who provides communication, you're somebody who provides knowledge about stuff. I went to brands and I'll tell them, oh, I'm a blogger and I can help blog about your brand and I can help get word out there. And I remember there would be some who would even ask me and say, what is a blogger? So yeah, we've come very far, and I think you guys can go forward. It's a digital space, it's a digital media world, and that's why I'm sharing all this information. Reach out to brands, but also remember, these things take time. You're not going to become an influencer overnight. You're not going to get brands coming to you and wanting to work with you overnight. It has to take consistency and a lot of investment, a lot of knowledge about your space, and a lot of knowledge about yourself, your ability to brand yourself. So I've shared these 7 tips about branding, about knowing yourself as an influencer, what you need to know, what you need to start from scratch as an influencer. As the series continues, I will be sharing in greater detail all that I've been discussing here about crystallizing your story and creating a magnetic brand, personal branding, understanding your niche, content creation, creating value, creating communities, and collaborating with brands. If you like this content, please subscribe, like, and comment. Don't forget to follow me on social media. I'll be seeing you very soon. Till then, stay kind.